There are 3 stages every online sports coach needs to go through, from beginner to soloist to real business owner, to make over $100,000 a month. And in this video, I'm going to be walking through all 3 stages, the current situation, the problems that each person is facing, and then the solution to break through to the next stage. If this is your first time here, my name is Nick Neville. I run an online consulting company called Just Coach, where we help sports coaches achieve time and financial freedom by implementing the online mentorship model so they can make more money, reach more athletes, and create a life of real freedom. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. On an absolute banger for you guys. Whenever I make these chart type of videos, they tend to do pretty well. So I wanted to walk through the 3 stages of going from absolute beginner, never having coached any athletes online before, to making over $100,000 a month, being a real business owner, having a team. What does that actually look like, and how do you ascend to each of those stages? Because I have clients inside of my highest level program that are, primarily on average, they're doing about $20,000 a month. And this is kind of where they get stuck here, right in the middle. And then I have clients in my beginner program that get stuck in the $0 to $10,000 a month mark. And I want to highlight to you guys what people have done based on the 450 plus coaches that I've worked with to break through to each level, because our best client that we work with does about $150,000 a month off the back of their Instagram profile selling online coaching programs, okay? And so I want to walk you guys through step by step exactly where somebody is at, what I would classify as a beginner, soloist, and business owner for their revenue, what their current situation looks like, what their problems are, and what the solution is to break through to the next level. So without further ado, let's dive right in. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is we're going to go through the revenue levels. Now, at each of the, I'm going to try and keep this fairly congruent too with the color. If you could see, I have beginner in red, soloist in green, business owner in blue. So I'll be using my different markers for each of those, okay? So for a beginner, we're going to classify them as $0 to $10,000 a month, okay? I have clients that go through my programs all the time that make their first $7,000, that make their first $8,000 in a month, and they still feel emotionally like they have no idea what they're doing, despite the fact that maybe they made $3,000 one month and then $6,000 one month and then $8,000 one month. They're still not 100% sold that this is like their full-time thing. They're a little bit skeptical that this is really for them, okay? So I would classify anybody in the $0 to $10,000 a month mark. Obviously, these can be a little bit blended. It just depends on where each individual is at, okay? The soloist, they're gonna be somewhere between 10 and 30K a month. Now, can you coach athletes online and make more than $30,000 a month as a one-man show? The answer is yes. I actually have a client right now who makes about $50,000 a month and is doing it as a one-man show. Now, is he working a lot? Does he have a lot of athletes? And has he built really good systems within his program? Absolutely. I'm not saying that you can't run it as a one-man show and go further than that. I'm just saying this is generally what the revenue levels are, okay? Now, for what I would classify somebody when they're a real business owner, typically they're going to be in the 30 to 100K a month plus mark. Okay, they're typically going to have a little bit of a team, things like that, and I'll get into the actual current situation here. But just so we can get very clear on what I'm talking about and the revenue levels of each individual. Okay, now let's talk about the current situation of each of these, starting with the beginner. Okay, so when it comes to the current situation of the beginner, typically they're broad in their messaging, okay? They typically have a job / in-person is their primary income, right? So at this point, $0 to $10,000 a month, they're kind of broad messaging. They're still figuring out what their social media looks like. They're still figuring out what their program looks like. They're still figuring out what their program looks like, and their full-time income, or their primary source of income, is typically not going to be from online coaching, right? They're not 100% sold that online coaching is the future for them. They're not quite ready to put all their eggs in the online coaching basket. Now, what about a soloist? Okay, what is the difference between a beginner, what their actual day-to-day current situation looks like, versus a soloist, okay? So a soloist is going to be fairly dialed on their messaging, okay? So they have one athlete that they're trying to go after, okay? And their roster is going to be anywhere from 10 to, let's say, 50 active athletes, okay? It's going to be somewhere between 10 and 50 active athletes, right? And they're going to charge somewhere around 1 to 3K for 3 to 6 months. Okay, this is like our core program, Remote Training University. This is kind of what that program is designed to get people into, right? 10 to 50 active athletes, charging 1 to 3,000 for a 3 to 6 month program. Consistent clients coming in the door, ideally doing it full time, but really don't have any team members, don't have any like real systems or infrastructure or anything like that. Because at this $10,000 to $30,000 a month mark, you don't really need anything like that. You don't need anything that's very complex. You don't need anything that's very automated. For $10,000 to $30,000 a month for, let's say, 20 hours a week, you can do this, and it's not unreasonable to think that you could, okay? We have clients do it literally all the time. Now, when it comes to an actual business owner, they have, let's say, 1 to 4 team members. Ideally, at least our most successful clients, they're charging 3K plus. Their program is 3K plus, and another thing that I've noticed is 6 to 12 month program. Okay? And it's just, I don't know necessarily what it is. My hypothesis is that one of the easiest ways to increase your price point is to extend the duration of the program that you have. So let's say you charge $3,000 for a 6-month program. Well, if you just extend your program to 12 months on the front end, now you can charge $6,000. And we actually have a client right now who did exactly that. He charges $5,800 for a year or $4,000 for 6 months. And obviously most people, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to do the 12-month program because it is a better deal over an extended period of time, right? Okay, cool. And they have some sort of consistency. They have consistency in the way that they coach their clients. They have consistency in the way that they generate leads. They have consistency in their sales process. They have some sort of consistency in what it is that they're doing. Most likely, the people that are stuck in the $30,000 to $100,000 a month mark, they are taking all of their own sales calls and they're doing all their own content, which is fine, but we'll get into why that's actually holding them back from continuing to grow. Now, jumping back to the beginners, what are the actual problems or problem that beginners face? The number one problem that beginners face, it's their mindset, okay? / belief. It's their mindset / belief, okay? Now, what do I actually mean? Most of the time, the only thing holding a beginner back from being able to make their first $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month with online coaching is just the belief that they can do it. It's the belief that they can do it. Now, what does that belief actually come out and look like tactically in their business? Most of the time, they're underpriced. So I see this happen all the time, okay? People will come into our program or they'll message me on Instagram or they'll ask me questions and they're charging like $500 for a 12-week program or like $1,000 for a year-long program or they're charging $150 a month. So not only are they underpriced, they're probably mispriced. The way that they're making their offer, it's $100 a month or it's $150 a month. They don't have a definitive offer, okay? No definite offer. Now, what do I mean by that? What I was saying earlier, the current situation is that their messaging is pretty broad, okay? They're trying to just help anybody. Like, let's say you're a hitting coach and, a beginner would say, I help hitters get better. And they are going to charge $150 a month or $100 a month, and there's no definitive outcome, there's no specific person, there's no specific timeline, and so it's very difficult to charge $3,000 for a 6-month program because they're not a specialist, they don't have a definitive outcome with what comes with it, and they're trying to help everybody, which means that their content falls on deaf ears. They're not piercing through the noise. As time goes on, more and more and more people are going to be posting on social media. They're going to go after the exact same athletes that you are. The way that you differentiate yourself and actually generate leads is to get as specific as you possibly can. And then over time, that's where you can open up the messaging. Once you're already doing 100,000, 200,000 a month, that's when you can start to open up the messaging. You don't need to try and help everybody to accomplish all of your goals, most likely, because most people that are watching, all they want to do is they want to make $10,000 to $30,000 a month for 20 hours a week doing what they love. If that's what you want, you can do that by being excruciatingly specific, okay? And we'll get into what the actual solutions of that look like. Now, for the soloist, what is the biggest problem that the soloists face? Typically, they're strapped for time, okay? They're strapped for time. A lot of my clients inside of my scale program, they get stuck with time, okay? Because they're coaching all their athletes, they're making all their content, they're taking all of their sales calls, and if they want to continue to grow, they have to spend more time to do it, okay? And so this is basically the same as eventually you're gonna be strapped for time with in-person lessons, okay? Now, with online coaching, the ceiling is much higher. However, if you really wanna grow, you can't be a soloist forever. At some point, you're going to hit a ceiling. Another thing that holds a lot of people back is they are underpriced. And notice how the soloist and the beginner tend to be underpriced. Now, the reason why this is such a problem, being underpriced as a soloist, is because if you're charging, let's say, $1,500 for a 3-month program, okay? I literally just had somebody join into my scale program where this was the exact bottleneck that they were facing, is they were charging like $750, $1,000, $1,500. Like they were just slowly bumping up their price, and they were signing like 10 new clients a month, like clockwork every single month. And now they're making, $15,000 to $20,000 a month. The problem, they're doing everything. They don't have a ton of expendable time because they can't take a ton more sales calls, and nor do they really want to. They don't want to work 80 hours a week. The most they want to work is 25 hours a week in order to make this type of money. And they don't have, when you sign 10 new clients a month, you have to fulfill on all 10 of those clients every single month. And so as a result, he really didn't have the margin to hire another coach to come in and help him and support him to grow the business, because at that point, 10 new clients a month, you probably need somebody full time. So what he needed to do was increase his price so that way he has the margin to pay somebody to coach his athletes. But we'll get into the actual solutions, okay? These are the two biggest problems that I see with soloists right there, okay? They have decent systems, nothing crazy. But when we get into the business owners, the biggest problem, okay, is typically organization. okay? For the first time, like if you have like a couple team members, now you got to figure out how to manage these people. You got to figure out how to get them to do what you actually want them to do. And if you've never managed anybody before, it can be incredibly tough. And having the organization and the structure and the systems are typically what's lacking from these people inside $30,000 to $100,000 a month, okay? Also, founder sales, okay? Founder-led sales. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but at some point, it makes way more sense for the founder to get up in front of the camera and be the guy dancing in front of the camera and making as much content as they possibly can, okay? All of the people that I've worked with that make over $100,000 a month, and to be clear, there's only been a handful of them, they're not doing their own sales calls. They're making content, they're running the business, they're working on the organization, they're working on the business instead of in the business, okay? And this is the biggest problem that I see with people in $30,000 to $100,000 a month, is that the owner or the founder is stuck. They're in the weeds. They're too much in the weeds. Okay, now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What are the actual solutions for a beginner to go from $0 to $10,000 a month to $10,000 to $30,000 a month? Violent volume. You see, the biggest thing, and I even look back at like when I was starting this business or when I was doing my online coaching business, coaching athletes, I just did so much volume that I outworked my self-doubt. See, the thing is, most people have these limiting beliefs around what's possible for them. If you just do the actions, if you make 3 posts a day, and you get on as many sales calls as you can, and you make as many offers as you possibly can, and you coach the athletes that sign up for your program to the best of your ability, and you get them the most insane results, eventually, you're gonna be in this realm. But you have to violently outwork your self-doubt, okay? The second thing, outside of just do more, despite the fact that that probably is the answer for you, is to get specific. Get specific. Okay? We have a client that came into our program, went from $0 to $10,000 a month in 60 days with 0 followers, 0 previous athletes. He's sitting there, he's a former college baseball player. He's trying to figure out what to do with his life. He doesn't want to get a job. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do, joins into our program, takes a bet on himself, and our client success team is amazing, and they tell him, hey, you should specialize with only left-handed pitchers. And if you've ever been on my Instagram page before, you probably got hit with the ad. He went from $0 to $10,000 a month in 60 days, specializing only for left-handed high school and college left-handed pitchers. Not 8 years old to 28 years old, like 16 to 21. He's only working with them left-handed pitchers who want to pitch at the Division I level and become draft prospects. See how specific that is. That allowed him to charge, $1,500, $2,000 for his online coaching program. And then if you do the math, that's only 5 new sales. If you're charging $2,000, that's only 5 new sales to make your first $10,000 in a single month, okay? On top of that, he posted like 100 times in those 60 days. So he posted 100 times and got disgustingly specific with who he wanted to serve, and that's what helped push him over the edge. Okay, now, soloist. How do we get people to go from $10,000 to $30,000 a month to $30,000 to $100,000 a month? Okay, the number one thing that they need to do is charge more, okay? One of the most common things we talk about inside of our scale program where our average client does $20,000 a month is that they need to charge more. We have a client who joined our scale program already doing $10,000 to $20,000 a month, okay? And now she actually just told me today on our scale call that she's at $41,000 cash collected for the month, just hired a coach, and she's got somebody else who helps her out. Now she's got 2 people on her team, okay? She's potentially gonna do $50,000 this month. What is the number one change that she made in her business? Was it that she started posting more content? Was it that she started helping different people? Was it that she made some magical offer? No. She charged more money. That is literally it. That is literally it. For the exact same offer, she went from charging like $2,000, $2,500, and she has a recruiting offer. So she charged more money and also made the promise better. Before she was doing more of consulting, 6 months. Now she's helping people get offers. She's giving people exactly what they want and charging a premium price. I think she's charging like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 right now. I mean, think about how much easier it is to make more money when you charge more and you're promising a way bigger outcome that you can actually deliver on. Now, I do want to be clear. You don't want to promise outcomes that you just can't deliver on, okay? So be ethical in this. But the number one thing you need to do is charge more, because when you charge more, now she can hire somebody to come and work for her full time and deliver on the promises that she's making in her marketing and sales to drive the revenue up. And now she's going into the business owner category, where she is doing all of her sales and she is stuck and she doesn't have a ton of organization. Okay, what does she need to do? She needs to let go of control of a lot of the front end type of stuff. She needs to get completely out of coaching. Okay? And then once you're consistently over $50,000 a month, you need to get out of sales and be the coach. And I don't mean be the coach of your athletes. I mean be the coach of your team members. Because now, in order to go from $30,000 to $100,000 a month, you probably got 1, maybe 2 salespeople. You got 1, maybe 2 coaches. Maybe you got somebody helping you out with the content. But most of the time, people in $30,000 to $100,000 a month, they got 2, 3, maybe 4 team members, and they are pumping out as much content as they possibly can and leading their team. And that is how you can scale past $100,000 a month, going from absolute zero, okay? So most people come to us at absolute zero. They've never coached anybody online before, never made an Instagram post. These are the problems, and this is kind of the process that we take them through. Make a ridiculous amount of content for a very, very specific type of person. Make as many offers as you possibly can. Once you make $10,000 a month, you need to start bumping up your price and make your offer better and better and better and better. And then eventually, once you're consistently making $10,000 to $30,000 a month, you bump past that. You hit your first $40K month. Then we need to get you out of the front lines and become the best leader, the best coach, the best face of the brand. And that's what's going to scale you past the $100,000 a month mark. So hopefully this video is super valuable for you. I went super in depth. This is obviously based on hundreds of clients that have gone through our program, Remote Training University, and our highest level program, Scaling Remote Training. If you want to learn more about how we can help you grow your online coaching business, then go ahead, check out the link in the description. If you just want to continue to watch these videos for free on YouTube, totally cool with me too. Either way, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.